May was when the administration released a pullback of a lot of protections as far as trans prisoners go. They were able to pull back all of our strides we made collectively so that states and specific wardens can just choose who is held in what prisons. And I just think that is something to think about that happened months ago. We were not, it was not just a memo that was leaked to people. It's already happened. And that's something that we're the ramifications of which we're dealing with still now. I think it's important to think about just like our incarcerated trans people. They are just statistically mostly black and brown, and are just generally not held in any sort of way. Forget about hormones and being able to access them. They're just either possibly put in their gender affirming prisons or put into harm's way from other incarcerated folks or biased correctional officers, or put in solitary confinement for their safety. And I think that when we think about what safety looks like for us, we need to think about the fact that we're here in New York City, which is colonized Lenape territory. We're filled with all of these displaced people coming into this mecca of a city. And just generally, I think that when we think about, especially with us at ALP, but lots of black and brown, queer and trans organizations here, we have to think about the ways that we have been moved across borders for our own safety, for the safety of our offspring, and at the same time moved because we know that we have to survive. And so I'm just saying, I'm bringing all these things up to say, when we think about the folks who are behind bars and not being given a voice, and even when we look at each other who are here rallying on this square today, most of us who are here and able to be here are not the people who I'm talking about. And I think that it's important for us to look around and acknowledge each other, where we have a lot of work to do with one another. And as far as safety goes, I think when we think about what a sanctuary city is, we need to think about what makes sanctuary necessarily geographic. We need to find ways to make sanctuary within ourselves and with one another, and build that out to what that looks like. Sanctuary should be able to move with you wherever you're going. Yeah. I have other things to share. Basically, I just want to leave y'all with a couple of thoughts from Mi'kmaq Acadian Luis Esme Cruz. He's a Two-Spirit Native youth sexual health advocate, and he says, Sanctuary rather than safety gives us places to rest and gather our internal resources to go back again into a world needing radical transformation. It is easy to work ourselves into fearful fever. This is me, I'm saying this. I honor all these emotions around us in this crowd of rage that forms this feeling of urgency we're feeling in this moment. Exhausted, paranoid, enraged, all with reason, but I also want us all to think about beyond that here and now. And Luis says, undoing the invasion of colonization in my own life has called me to question how appearance and identity are tricksters, the illusion of safety. Appearance and identity plays with my expectations, desires, and assumptions. Sanctuary asks me to look into the heart and behaviors of people while simultaneously addressing the relationship of her stories and histories to the present moment. It is easy to forget to look after each other and ourselves, to provide sanctuary with our bodies and our spirits in the midst of colonial havoc. We get distracted by these tricksters who keep us tangled in cycles of coping with invasion, rather than using our humongous creative forces to transform our landscapes inside and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumi.